We upgraded to a better rock picker. As you can tell, this is a little bit bigger and a little nicer. Still used though. Oh, do we love used stuff. We thrive on used stuff. Now here's the thing that we're gonna do to this. Two things that need to be done to it. One, these cylinders are leaking and we need to replace the seals in the cylinders so that they stop leaking. We have the seals. The other thing is, these are ground-driven rock picker. So anytime this wheel spins, it's supposed to run a chain that spins the bats and gets them to fling. So if you're cruising down the road, that thing's spinning all the time. Well, we want to convert it to hydraulics. And lucky for us, we have a pretty good size hydraulic pump. Motor. No, not pump. Sorry, motor right there. That'll be perfect for it. And then we'll have to have a pressure relief. So if it ever hits a rock and binds up the tines and it can't move, you got to have that fluid to go somewhere so you don't damage something. And what if the tractor doesn't have a very good pressure relief, or the tractor has too good of hydraulics and overpowers? Yeah, you're going to break stuff. So we'll have to add that on. But my goal is to fix the cylinders and get the hydraulic motor mounted on here. Lucky for me, they made this with hydraulic motors. And my dad happened to find online, actually, he found a manual that shows a hydraulic motor attachment. There it is, right here. So instead of me trying to completely figure out a new design on how to mount the hydraulic motor, I'll just basically copy what they have, because if they build rock pickers and they mounted a motor on it, I'm sure it was better design than probably what I could come up with. So why don't I just copy what they've got? So it basically looks like they have where these two sprockets are and this spring, you remove this assembly and then you build a bracket here to secure the hydraulic motor. And this thing, yeah, right here, should mount somewhere like that. Keyword, should. And then it probably wouldn't be a bad idea, after we get the hydraulic motor on here, to have a shield of some sort in case a rock goes way up there and comes way back down and decides to crack the hydraulic motor.
Okay, well, I'm in the shop. As you see, we're working on this used Degelman rock picker. The cylinders on it was leaking out through the shaft quite a bit on both cylinders, and there's two of them on here that lifts the whole bucket up to dump, and they were leaking very profusely. And just getting oily. So we got some seals, some cup seals, O-rings for a kit to rebuild those. And I'm over here, and I have what you call the inside cup O-ring. It's kind of not necessarily, but it's an inside cup. And this is probably the unit that was wore out, that this squeezes the chrome shaft that comes out of the cylinder body, the ram, and this is what holds the oil from squirting out. So this is a new one, and it has an inside O-ring which you put on separately after you get that piece, and that's a bugger. And the reason why I have it in this can is I'm going to take it up and I'm going to boil the water and heat that rubber plastic up to very palatable, because it has to go inside this. And let me show you what's the cylinder. So we have the cylinder tube right here. We have the ram, the shaft, and it's chromed and all polished, so it's very smooth. Then we have this is the plunger, the wiper unit that shoves this part up as you add the oil and you want to extend the cylinder. The oil goes through there, pushes up, shoves this up, and then when you want to go the other direction, this is a dual acting. You have two inputs or two outputs. They work opposite each other. So you want to let it down. Oil pressure goes in here, forces this unit to slide down, and this whole plunger cup assembly, and that squeezes the cylinder back down again. So here's it taken apart. What we have here is this goes right there. That is shouldered right there. That's the unit. I got to put new seals. Here's the new seals. As you can see, they're not smooth across. They're lipped. That goes in the direction opposite of each other. And this one goes like that, so it can wipe the cylinder both ways when this shaft goes in and out of the cylinder body. Then we have here the unit. This part here is what screws into or is pressed into here to seal this unit to hold this shaft in the middle and also stop the extent. So when this bottoms out here, it won't go out of the cylinder body. So what we have is we have a kit that has, for each cylinder, two of these wiper cups. We have an outside seal that is really a dust, mud, whatever, and that scrapes the clean as it's going back in again. It scrapes all the dust off this shaft. We have an outside O-ring, and that's this one right here. Then we have that inside one that I showed you. We'll be heating that up. That's the difficult part of this whole thing. There's an inside groove right in there, inside. As you can see a little bit there. It is stiff, and there's very little tolerance in getting that in there and squeezing it and flooring. So that's why it's got to be, I'm going to boil it and get it as hot as, and let it sit in there till it's somewhat pliable, and then we carefully force it in there, not trying to rip the sides of it. Then it'll be a leak and you'll be back to square one again. So that's essentially what holds the oil into the cylinder from leaking out, and also causing the pressure to extend the cylinder shaft out of the cylinder body. And this, like I said, this has two. So anyway, let's go over here and boil some water. And I don't think I'm going to throw a tea in there. I could throw a tea bag in there, and I think I'll wait later. It would really tee me off if I drank it and it wasn't the right flavor. That was a rolling boil. And we'll just leave that in there for a little bit. Set it right there. And I've washed out the tube. I've got this one over here that I have washed out with solvent and let it just kind of drip. I can pull it back out, wipe it down so it's easy to handle, and I'll put a little bit of oil in there, and then when we get ready to slide the cup and the outer face the end cap after we get that in there. But we went ahead and we've assembled this one. It took a while, but we got that inner cup seal in there with that O-ring, and that's a new O-ring, and these are all new and they're pointing the right way. So this one here is ready to stick inside this tube. So I guess we can assemble that while we let that cup heat. Okay, that cylinder's together. Repeat the process. This should, let's see here, let me take a look at this. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and reheat that. I want that really hot before I try to squeeze it and twist it into that unit. So, all right. Let's go apply the heat.
All right, I got the hydraulic motor set up. Everything seems to be fairly in line. And so what I need to do here is make an tensioner so I can adjust the chain. What I'm thinking about doing is using the old plate that they had, cutting it off. And we had this anchor bolt for concrete, which is perfect because it's got long threads on it. I'll weld a nut up here so you can adjust it in and out, and you'll have a locking nuts. And then what we're going to do is I'm going to have the anchor bolt go down like this, and then if you increase the pressure / turning in, it's going to rotate the whole pump assembly, and you can adjust it. Now I will adjust this hydraulic motor, rotate it down a little bit because these hydraulic lines are sticking up this way and I don't want that. And then build a cage around it, but I think that's what I'm going to do. But so far, I think it's going to work out pretty good. So now, what I need to do is figure out how I want to cut this up and weld it onto that. And then after I weld it on, I'll take all this off right here and clean it up with a plasma cutter and grind it down and paint it, and I think we should be good. So, yeah. Bring out my measuring tool. Like that. That looks good, right? I was thinking, best thing for me to do for a cage is an old concave from like a 2588 or a 2188 combine that we used to have. So I'm going to cut it up and slap that on there to protect any rocks from hitting that nice, wonderful hydraulic motor. I think it'll work. A little bit overkill? Yeah. But I'll never have to worry about it. And it's free. I just have to weld a little bit and cut up. So anyways, let's cut this. Well, I would say that should survive a rock. These concaves have seen a lot of rocks in its day, and they're pretty stout and heavy, and they're free. So why not just use free metal and build a quick removable cage? So anyways, yeah, now what we're waiting for is a pressure relief bypass valve. So if that rotary system jams on a rock or whatever, I need that hydraulic flow to go somewhere. So we need a bypass valve that I got to put on the system, and we ordered one, and it won't be here for a little bit. So that being said, I'm going to quickly throw some paint on that just to make it look not as hideous, and then pull it outside and park it.
Well, here's something we don't see every day. Oh man, it's been a couple years since I've seen this girl. Oh, this is a real treat. Let's see what it looks like when it comes by. Look at that Wagner. Oh, that's beautiful. Oh, I wish I had that rig. That is sweet. Isn't that cool? Industrial Wagner pulling a scraper built together. Wow.
Well, we got the pressure relief valve finally. It took a little bit to get in here, but we have it. I mounted it here, so it's easy access, and hopefully rocks don't hit it. And let's run some hydraulic hoses to that, and then up to where the tractor is, and then we will be good. So, yeah, I got a roll here. I got a bunch of fittings, and we should be able to crimp and make what we need. So, yeah, these are fast and easy to make. So this is just an 8 to an 8, and what that means is it's half-inch to half-inch hose. Now, on hydraulics, the fitting sizes are different. So if you want a half-inch hose, that's 8. If you want a 5-inch or a 5/8 hose, that would be like a 10. If you want 3/4, that's 12. If you want 16, that's 1 inch. So you can kind of get the idea. It's kind of a weird mixed up deal, but if you can kind of remember that. The other thing to look for in hydraulic fittings is you can have JIC, you can have pipe fittings, you can have boss fittings. There's a bunch of different styles out there. So yeah, hydraulic stuff can be a little bit complex at times, but if you kind of get an idea what you're looking for, it's not too bad. Especially when you have your own crimper, which we happened to pick one up years ago from an auto parts store that closed down, and we picked it up pretty cheap. So it's pretty nice to actually have your own. Because like a situation like this, I can actually just loop the hydraulic hose to where I want, cut it on site, and crimp it on site, instead of guessing and then go and get it made at some place and then bring it back here and you find out it's too short, or maybe you made it too long. Yeah, that's kind of a hassle. But anyways, let's make a hose. All right, one thing I like to do, I'm gonna put the camera down so you can kind of see, is I like to blow them out. In case there's any junk and stuff, clean it out a little bit. Hopefully you don't get any particles through your hydraulic system. Doesn't take much. So anyways, after I'm done blowing that hose out, I'll come over here, and I got to set the crimper up to the right setting. But what I'll do is I'll take the end that I'm going to crimp and squeeze it on pretty tight, and do the same thing to the other side. I don't know if this is necessary, but I've got a wood bench here, and I just thump them on to make sure that they're tight, because I would rather have it tighter than not so much. All right, now let's set this down. What I'll do, since I have this lovely chart here, I'll go through and say, okay, I'm doing an 8, so it's a half-inch hose. So let's go to half-inch. I'm gonna need the dies that say 733 right here, 733. Okay, take those, set it in here, and then turn the hydraulic pump on. Now, you'll wanna set it to the right depth, because each one of these dies is going to take a certain depth for it to crimp it properly. So you'll have to go through the chart and say, okay, since I'm doing a half-inch hose, I got the 733 dies, and it wants to be about 7.03. So you got a little dial here on the side, and we're going to turn it. Right there. And then this, that's the button you push to engage it. So now that I got that hose to the length that I want, I'm going to make sure, once again, just tap in case it got loose. I don't know why it would. And then squeeze it through. Take the top bracket, and then I just slide it in, and away I go. Now it's automatically going to stop at the depth that I set it at, which is very convenient. And put this in. Slide it in, and away I go. Okay, one hose down. Let's put that hose on, and we'll tighten it up. Now, the reason why I'm going to do what I'm going to do, and it's just to save a little bit of money. The pipe non-swivel is a whole lot cheaper. And since this pressure relief valve body right here has got pipe fittings on it, I'm just going to put threads on it, screw it in, and I'm going to rotate the whole entire hose until it's tight. And then I'll go on to the pump side over here, and then I've got a JIC swivel that I can just tighten it up. So then that way I'm not buying a swivel for that, and I'm not buying a swivel for this over here. It's a little cheaper, I hope, right? But that's pretty much how you make a hose. Simple and easy. Since I already have this one made, I'm just gonna make another one because they're gonna be the same length. So yeah, let's go make another one. Well, sadly, I don't have enough hose to make 2 more to go to the tractor to run the hydraulic motor that spins the bats. This thing needs to be out of the shop. We got other things going on. We're not going to use it right now, but when the time comes, I'll quickly make some hoses. We'll hook it up to the tractor. I'll set the pressure relief valve, make sure that sets good, and we'll start picking some rocks. So eventually, you're going to start seeing us cleaning up our fields because we got tons and tons and tons and tons and tons and tons and tons of rocks. Now, compared to some of the people I know, we don't have that many rocks. But around here, we got quite a few rocks, in my opinion. But I think I'm done with this. Yeah. All right. Bye, rock picker. Bye-bye.